wearing the prettiest hanbok when he was waiting. But I'm married to Jungkook, Wen murmured. Nobody was there in the big room. Wen was feeling like a pair of strong arms were not letting her move. Suddenly, she could feel that she was being freed and could move in the room that was filled with bright lights. When went to the balcony space of the room that provided an amazing natural view. It was beautiful, but one had never been in that place, yet it felt so familiar to her. The place where she was, it looked like a hammock, she murmured. It's not Seoul, it's not my home. She could feel somebody's existence but couldn't see the person. She walked across the garden, full of blooming flowers, sensing someone's existence. Cook? Cookie? Jungkook? Jungkook, don't play hide and seek with me, she spoke out. And suddenly she could feel she was caged. Something invisible, yet she could feel his existence. The sound of horses' hooves were heard. A man with most delicate yet strong features was proudly riding the horse. Van's lips curved themselves to form the most beautiful smile on her face. Oppa? She called him. The horseman stopped riding the horse. Oppa? Van called him again. The person was still back facing her. Van tried to see his face, but he busied himself in picking the unknown yet beautiful flowers. Oppa! Van addressed the person in the same way again. With a warm hug, Van was embraced. He wasn't caging her, it was warm, warm like the most comfortable blanket. I picked up this for you. Hope you will like it. His voice was divine, sounded just like his soul. Am I beautiful? Van asked him while receiving the freshly made handmade flower bouquet. The man was about to hold her hand when he vanished, leaving the cherry petals floating in the wind. Van opened her eyes. A thin layer of sweat was glistening her forehead. It was a dream. She scoffed. She found her husband right in front of her facial frame, with worried doe eyes. Was it a nightmare? He asked. One was about to move to take her mobile phone to check the time, but she couldn't, as worried Cook didn't waste a moment to embrace her. It wasn't a nightmare, it was a dream. She reassured him. Taehyung is in the city. If you want, you can meet him, or I will take you there if. Val looked at his face and smiled. What will I do? What will I say to him? What will I ask him? Will I beg him to be my brother? Will I ask him for blood samples for DNA test? Will I bribe someone to match the test results? What do you want, Chan Changkook? When actually realized how desperately she wanted him to be her brother. Cook patted on her shoulder. I'm just happy that it was a dream. You still have time for the morning rounds. But as you are awake, go. Check out the situation. Wen got up from the bed and walked into the washroom, while Jungkook was busy to prepare coffee for both of them. When Wan walked out from the washroom, she could feel how the word satisfaction is felt. Jungkook was waiting for her with her favorite cup of morning coffee with a bright smile on his face. His appearance in that room just brightened her mood. That man belongs to me, she murmured. Van sat beside Cook and sipped the morning coffee. You are the best, she complimented him. Cook smiled. I know, that's why you got me. You deserve the best. He gently put her legs on his thighs to check whether her foot were cold or not. Cook, I will go home after the rounds, Van casually informed him. I will work from home then, but last night I guess many bodies saw me carrying you from the nap room to my room, so be ready and sorry. He gulped down and avoided eye contact with her as he knew that she would be freaked out. Van frowned. What? Okay. Cook. What okay? Van. I will say that you were my husband and I'm your wife. Cook. You just took caffeine. Why are you talking like a reckless drunk? Are you sure you want this? Why not? I can't live like a coward. I'm living with my husband. One answered him back. Wow. Jungkook chuckled, but he was still a bit confused at Van's sudden change in behavior. Van put on her apron and stepped out of the room. Jungkook dialed Tae's number. Tae, did you get bitten by Van? Cook. Anyo? She's behaving so weird like you do. And one more thing, Hyung, can we meet? Means we all together. Tae, text me the time. I will try to be free. Cook. Hyung, can I ask you something personal? Tae. About? Cook. About your family? Tae. About which family? Cook. Did you have a sister from your mother? They took a deep breath and answered. Yeah, so? Cook. Did she had some birthmark or something happened like I have the cut on my cheek? They. Are you trying to figure out whether we are siblings or not? Cook. Actually, when they. Do you want a fake DNA test report? Cook. One dreamed about her brother and she thinks you are her brother, but not her actual brother. But both of you are so weird. I guess you have some chances. They. Cook. Let's meet at Yoongi Hyung's place and yes, my sister has something like the cut on your cheek kind of mark. Cook. Means your siblings? They. Cook, it's not a drama. Cook. I know Young, but she is not ready to accept you as her own brother, though she treats you. She cherishes you like her brother, yet she wants to find her own brother, but afraid of. They. Afraid of what? Cook. If her own brother would not treat her as good as you do, she doesn't want to lower the standard of her brother that you have set up. They. Cook. What if we really are not siblings? We know, but when it will be proved, these words will be spoken loudly. It will hurt our core. Cook. But what if you are really siblings? They. Cook. Are you drunk? Cook. Anyo, I didn't drink last night, but I'm just optimistic. They. By the way, how is she? Cook. I did something big actually, and I surrendered before she went to the rounds, and she said she will address herself as my wife. I mean, I'm happy, but still, it's so you kind of behavior. They, you mean to say I'm weird? Cook, don't you think so? They, Cook, fix the date and time then. Cook, Young, what if one has the same mark as your sister has? What will be proved? They, the mark will prove nothing, but if the story behind the mark is same from both of us, then we might think about a DNA test. Cook, Young, what kind of mark? Please tell me. They, patience, baby CEO, it's all about patience. Cook, Young, it's not. They, baby CEO, really? Cook, Young, what's about this weekend? They, okay. Cook, okay? How could you just say okay? They, what? Cook, I mean, you can give me some hint. They take care of her, that would be enough. They disconnected the call. Jungkook went to his office to collect the important documents and started going through those. On the other side, after the morning rounds, many doctors gathered in the common staff room. One was there too. So, Dr. Van, is it true? Someone asked her in a teasing tone. May I know what's the it you were referring? She asked him, though she guessed the topic of the discussion. So, you and Mr. John are really close. Are you childhood friends? He asked with a smirk on his face. When, no, we are not childhood friends, but you can say we are close. The fellow doctor. Close or closer? I guess you're closer than the other doctors and employees. When we are married? The fellow doctor frowned. What? This can't be true, or you were bounded in a contract with him. It's possible. Don't say that the junior John had fallen in love with you. When? Does this matter? I just know that we respect each other and we care for each other. And he is careful about his so called contract wife. In your language? That's why he carried me. Another fellow doctor. Are you pregnant? Did you guys go for an one night stand and when? What if we had an one night stand? The fellow doctor. It means Mr. John chose you for his own reasons. When? Don't you think I'm the gold digger? The fellow doctor. Dr. Van? I guess you really have no idea how powerful the Jones are, but as you are chosen, you must be beneficial to them and you definitely gonna be benefited. By the way, wish you a happy life ahead, Dr. Van. Van, do you really think your words would help me to live a happy life? But thanks for your wishes. Van walked out of the room after she was done with submitting the documents. The words of the fellow doctor was revolving around her mind. If Jones are powerful, then why they approached me to be his wife? Miss Kim was perfect, prettier than me, prosperous than me in every aspect. But he chose me. Is it because they thought I would never protest if he would leave me? But what if he would leave me in the future? What would I have with me? Only the memories with him? She tried to calculate and decided to go home. What if I ask him for a baby? Will he take the kid's custody? Of course, he pranked me when he registered the marriage. It was his decision to get married officially. What if one day one didn't dare to complete her thoughts when their divorce was the subject? When realized she just walked the 15 minutes driving distance as her feet stopped in front of the cozy nest. She looked around. Jungkook's car was not parked. It means he was still in the hospital, maybe busy with his works. She took the phone from her pocket and was about to dial Cook's number but stopped. She entered into the home. She was tired physically, devastated mentally. She looked around the known living room. I guess I should prepare myself. Living without him, living without expecting him to come back to me. What if? Her thoughts were on pause as she felt vibrating sensation into her pocket. Incoming call from the CEO. You are overthinking, Van, she murmured before receiving the call. Van, 여보세요? Cook, where are you? Van, in your place. Jungkook paused for a moment before he could speak further. Are you okay? Van? Van, am I still your wife? Why didn't you call me wifey? Jungkook realized something happened. Wifey? Your husband has to work hard. Please take care of yourself. When? Hmm. Bye. Take care of yourself too. The worried prince took the file with important documents and started the engine of his car. Of course, the gossips doesn't go to the CEO's ear, and for the first time, he was regretting for that. I hope you're fine, wifey. I should not do that, being impulsive. But I could not let you to sleep in the nap room. I'm sorry, but not sorry for my actions. He literally flew his car and rushed to open the door. When had fallen asleep. Probably she was studying the patient's files, but she could sense the sound of the doorknob. When? Even the familiar most voice was searching for emotional stability. One could hear him. She could sense his presence in their nest, yet she didn't want to face him. Cook tapped on her shoulder. When? I'm sorry, wifey. The unexpected touch made her shivered, and Cook noticed that she was awake. A warm pair of arms carefully wrapped around her body and carried her. After a few seconds, she could feel that she was being laid down on the cozy, comfortable bed. Soon, under the warm blanket, she could feel her head was gently placed against her favorite masculine chest. I'm listening. I know you are not sleeping. You can hear me. It's okay if you are tired enough to open your eyes. He whispered in her ear. His warm breath made her body shivered. They didn't call me gold digger, she replied. Janko could feel chill through his spine as he heard that. He noticed the dried up salty patches of tears. But at the same time, he sensed that he can't control himself from. He breathed in and frisked as Van wrapped her legs around his torso. But can't deny that their words has solid impact on my mind. She finally opened her red and puffy eyes. But you said that they didn't call you a gold digger. What happened, Van? Tell me. Share with me. He almost pleaded as he was extremely worried for her. What if you have to leave me, or what if you feel you don't want to love me anymore? How will you compensate me? What will I be given? What will be left for me? Or I will be left alone? An unknown burning sensation made her to close her eyes, but her uneven breathing pattern made it clear that she was too close to break down. You will have me, I promise. If you want to have me as person, as my property in any form, whatever you want. He tried to console, but he could sense the hunger for each other. But for now, what's about a good? One's eyes were closed, but her red earlobes proved that she had no objection with that. As his cold fingers touched her, she gasped. Before she could breathe out, a pair of soft, cold lips, the air out from her trachea. It took a couple of minutes to melt down in his embrace as the continuous movements of his cold fingers on her body amazed her. Under the warm blanket, Cook was busy unwrapping his most precious gift. You must change your clothes after coming back to home, wifey. Then why did you call me by my name? Wen tried to continue the argument while her body was screaming for more and more of Cook's touch. I'm sorry, I will never repeat that again. Even in our professional life, I will always address you as my wife. He busied himself in stamping on her neck with his lips. Wen hissed as she felt the strongest suction. When tightened her grip on his arm as he gently took the last piece of fabric from her upper portion of body and tossed it out of the bed. Instinctively, she tried to cover her chest, but Cook wanted no restriction while caressing her. Gently pinned her hands over her head against the bed, smirked devilishly before one could feel the warmth of his mouth, his strong suck. Instinctively, one of her hands moved to grab the left one, but he was faster than her. The another one was being rolled between his fingers. One couldn't stop herself from his name. Good girl, I like it. Don't you ever dare to say that we will be separated. He literally scolded her and could feel a tight grip on his hairs that made him to stop. Did you just scold me? She asked. Then why did you choose me instead of? She fumbled. Cause you never tried to impress me. You are raw, you have your own scent that attracts me. He was speaking those sweet words while drawing circles around what you don't like about me. She tried to speak, enduring the sensation Cook was creating. I like in bed, but you want to listen, sweet words. He answered genuinely. What the differences? She asked. That's the difference between girlfriend and wife. Wife tolerates, wife cares, wife makes the house home. And don't think that signing the papers or saying I do makes anyone the wife. It's the unconditional love and labor one inputs in the relationship makes her the wife, makes her the queen, and now the king is on duty to please his queen. A cute warm peck on his belly button, and the next moment his head was adjusted in between her legs, busy to caress her in a when jolted on her position as she felt something warm on her. Cook! Shim, his name, gripped a fistful of his hair to stop him, but by pulling his hair, she couldn't control the speed of his tongue, coating the middle finger with the clear discharge that contained the proof of her. He gently inserted that into her. He could feel the warmest clenching around his finger. His eyes moved to her face. One was breathing heavily. Her face, her body was all red. One was trying to soothe with the familiar feeling after many days as Cook had tried to please her in the same way before. The grip on his hair was loosened as her body started relaxing. Cook caught the signal and inserted his index fingers, and another escaped from her mouth, and the grip on his hair was tightened again. Cook continued licking in inhuman speed and gently started pumping. When, in the strongest way, just before on his fingers, I'm sorry. She was gasping. The double bunny smirked and tasted her. You taste too good. He complimented her but when rolled her eyes to cover the guilty feeling. I will give the chance to taste yourself, but next time, he smirked. When just sighed in relief, but the next moment she could feel a little more. Cook inserted another finger inside and started while his thumb was in the charge of. I guess you don't have to wait for a long time to test yourself. One could feel like another knot was gradually forming. She clenched her walls to control herself, but soon she released. Though she was not in the situation to inform him using words, but through her actions, he easily guessed what was about to happen, and exactly that happened. Are you ready, wifey? He asked. For another round? When asked him back. It was just warm up, baby. Stretching is important. I was just helping you in stretching, he smirked devilishly. One was a little tired, yet her desire of was the encouraging force that made her to pull down his and Fred. The inner self of his soul literally screamed to fill him while her mind was conscious about the pain she was going to experience. Cook noticed her being absent minded, and he could probably guess what she was thinking about. To divert her mind from that, he touched her over and she jolted. Cook, look at me. Look at my eyes, believe me. I don't want to see you in pain, but still, I want to be the reason of the most beautiful pain you would experience. Indeed, his eyes were full of, obviously for his wife, but still, he was concerned about her. When looked at him, she was blank, unable to process the progress of her thoughts. She just nodded, and the next moment she found herself to be kissed by him. She received the most beautiful she could ever experience. The way her skin, the way he kissed every inch of her. In her simple thoughts, she was overwhelmed. The effect of the last was still lingering in her mind when she felt him, his doughy eyes silently asking for the final permission. When gulped down before nodding her head in agreement, she was nervous, just nervous. Tears started flowing down. Still, she tried to be quiet while Cook was gentle enough to enter. Though his full concentration was there, but for some unknown reason he raised his head and looked at her. Her face was all red, exhausted from suppressing the pain she was enduring. Do you want me to stop? He asked again. No, she sounded too exhausted. Without wasting a single moment, Cook attached his with her. Through his gentle gesture, he tried to soothe the pain. Cook! A loud escaped from her lips as his full was completely inserted into her. She was gasping. Cook could feel some kind of satisfaction as he heard his name. Van's breathing pattern was getting normal again as he gave her the time to adjust him into her. And he moved, slowly, gently, the perfect amalgamation of pain and pleasure. One could feel. She didn't hesitate to his name louder. Cook smirked as he got the hint to speed up his pace. Carefully placed pillows under her waistline, and he started. The continuous hitting made her louder and louder, which actually filled him to continue. Cook! She clenched against his inside her. Relax. He kissed her hairs while, and soon he could feel warm, thick, slowly coating his. And that unexpectedly overwhelming feeling just dragged him to his. He was about to when he could feel Van's legs wrapped around his torso, resisting him from following his own plan, and he inside her. Two sweat glistening bodies were laying on the bed. Van, how was it? Jungkook asked. It was breathtaking, like only solid raw feeling. It was like I was craving for it, yet I was exhausted, tired. Van's voice was husky and sleepy. You didn't like it? Jungkook asked. I'm still confused, like how a bland meal can make one so satisfied. Van replied honestly and looked at him. What's about you? Van, wifey, I just want to inform you that I didn't use any protection and Cook looked at her with fearful eyes. Would you mind to have? The baby or contraceptive pills? One completed the sentence. If I say the baby, he dared to answer. What if one didn't complete, so Cook spoke in lower tone. You choose whatever you want to choose. I have no objection, no commands. Jungkook sighed. What if I don't take the contraceptives? When bluntly asked, and the man beside her literally jumped in joy. Really? Don't you think you are showing off? One chuckled. What? Cook asked casually. Your overconfidence? She burst into laughter. Cook frowned. Then let's have second round.